Okay, chat. This is a segment I'm calling Future Humanimals because I don't know what else to call it. But it is something that I was sent my way. I had seen some of the images from this book, and I've decided that this would be something fun for Sunday stream. There's not too much of it, but it should be fun. Since we've seen so many weird, crusty animal creatures lately, I just figured this would be interesting. So the book is called Man After Man, and I have some of the more interesting pages. And I guess this kind of goes well with that last one I did. This is the image that is probably most famous from... I think this is edited, I don't know. But from this book... It says here, this is a link to the PDF of Dougal Dixon's book, Man After Man. Dougal Dixon is a paleontologist who has done works based on speculative evolution. His most popular book, After Man, A Zoology of the Future, published in 1981, explores how animals may have evolved 50 million years into the future after humanity's extinction. This inspired many other speculative evolution works, such as the 2002 mini-series, The Future is Wild. In 1988, he published a book called The New Dinosaurs, which explains or explores how non-avian dinosaurs could have evolved if they did not go extinct. However, his easily most controversial book is the 1990 Man After Man, An Anthropology of the Future. Man After Man explores how humans could change over the course of 5 million years through both evolution and genetic evolution. This book contains some of the most bizarre freaks ever illustrated that stretch the definition of the word human. This book is extremely rare, and copies on eBay easily go for over $200. So, thank you Dungus Dan for writing that and for compiling the best images from the book. So, we'll just, we'll analyze. So here's the famous image, the tundra dweller. So this is 2,000 years into the future. This will not be in any particular order, you know, in terms of chronological. It's just going to be whatever. I'll read some of it. I'm not going to read everything, but we'll take a look at these fucking things together, and then I will also just discuss. Mosses, lichens, and heathers provide the slow-moving tundra dwellers with their diet. A hook-like nail on the foot, developed from the main toe, scrapes up moss and also provides a grip on the snow. Migratory by nature, the dwellers move to open tundra each summer, but winter deep in the forests. As with all migrations, it is the old, the weak, and the young who fall prey to the predators. I like that, again, this is such a wild concept to me that someone is just making shit up and making it look like a history book. The 5 engineered forms do not perceive each other as members of the same species. When different types meet, they do so as competitors and enemies, or else ignore one another as irrelevant. Okay. Again, just making shit up, but, you know, that's fine. Here's an interesting one in the beginning of the book. Here's jimez smoot, 200 years hence. Only the most perfect human specimens are being sent to colonize the stars. Perfection, in this case, is clearly defined. Each colonist is carefully selected to ensure that his or her biological makeup is as flaw-free and reliable as possible. Space will be its own habitat, and later the surgeons will require the best raw material available when it becomes necessary to build new living creatures to fit those unknown environments to be found far beyond the solar system. So it says here, physically fit, psychologically stable, and rigorously trained, jimez smoot is the raw material for one of his world's most dramatic and desperate experiments, the epic conquest of space. So, the name doesn't inspire confidence, I'm sorry to say. Smoot does not make me think of Giga Chad. But, I mean... Chat, this looks like someone. I can't put my finger on it. Who does this look like? Paul Newman? Yeah. Someone just said Germa. I see a little bit of Captain Picard and some Paul Newman. Shatner in the Twilight Zone, maybe. We are all, in the future, descendants of Jimez Smoot. So, this fucking shit right here, chat. 5 million years hence. This is Jimez Smoot's descendant. Obviously. Okay? It's like a little phallic fucking Giger creature riding a humanimal with many limbs and oh god, chat. I wish I could easily zoom around on this. It doesn't make it easy. XSplit does not make it easy, but look at this. I hate that. The artist definitely kept Giger's phallic, we'll say, proclivity for the strange alien creature there. It says, descendant of Homo sapiens sapiens, product of millions of years of genetic engineering and elective surgery, the newcomer is not yet at home in his new environment. The composition of the air can be changed, but the unfamiliar atmospheric pressure presents greater problems. If the newcomer decides to stay, then further engineering will be essential. It was the constant need to withstand different gravities and breathe other atmospheres that led to one change being put on top of another, until genetically, psychologically, and intellectually, the newcomer bears no resemblance to his ancestor, Homo sapiens sapiens. Encased in a pressurized suit, man's descendant sits astride a creature engineered from Homo virgulus fabricatus, the temperate woodland dweller. Direct telepathic control is exercised over the central nervous system of its mount. I like its back sack. The artist was on some other level, chat, because this right here is beautiful. And once again, it looks like someone. It kind of looks like Beavis. Maybe not Beavis. This looks like someone. This 2575 Kentucky Derby. Boomhauer. It does look like Boomhauer a little bit, and Tom Waits. It looks like Germa. It doesn't look like Germa. Stop. Germa's handsome. Okay? Don't do that. Not that that wasn't handsome. It's very handsome. And 5 million years hence, engineered food creature. Oh my fucking god. I don't even need to read this to imagine where they're going with it. But in the future, chat, we will have engineered new methods of meat. Developing animals so that they produce food more efficiently has always been one of the basic drives behind genetic engineering. Food species may look grotesque, but then the natural forces of evolution often drive in different directions to the consuming forces of science and civilization. Panarius pinguis, the parasitic host, has been reduced to a mound of fat and flesh, fed by a chemical nutrients. Harvesting devices remove meat as it's grown. How can I get these in RimWorld? But do you think maybe we could genetically engineer them without a fucking face? Like, is it at all possible to just have it be the meat sack? Like, kind of like a plant, but meat? Does the face make for good eating? There are tiny manlings on board. So the tiny manlings, we need to discuss this. the tiny manlings are, I think, the harvesting units. So when the meat becomes full and the meat blob creature homunculi are in pain, as you know, that increases the taste of the meat. When they call out, which would sound something like, that's when the harvesting units attach and remove the meat. "5 million years hence, engineered pack animal. The second phase of biological engineering is exploitation, when applied to a planet that is known as terraforming. Change and adaptation become secondary to whatever purpose the genetic engineers find important. Earth has not been exploited for 5 million years. When resources are abundant, methods of collecting and refining need not be sophisticated. The function of most of these altered creatures is a simple beast of burden, able to operate within environments intolerable to their masters. The atmosphere is being changed. With oxygen no longer present in quantities sufficient to keep Homo sapiens-based species alive, air tanks and purification systems are essential. Control is by telepathic input direct to the central nervous system." Once again, just making shit up, but that's the whole book. I'm noticing many things. Their faces are on backwards, so we'll start with that. So that seems like it kind of sucks. And then you have, they kind of look like ogres from Lord of the Rings. There's the little penis guy on his mount. Wait, it's not backwards, it's just resting? You can tell. But, I mean, at this point, wouldn't it be better to just... okay, listen, I get it. This is the book. The point of the book was to be weird and creaturous. But at this point, I feel like the better solution would be to create a car of some sort. A truck. Okay. 3 million years hence. The spike tooth. These are plant-eating animals. They inspire the evolution of meat-eating creatures to feed on them. Okay. Doesn't need speed or stealth to hunt the sloth men. His slashing front teeth penetrate the thick fur and tough skin of its prey. Okay, so these are the meat eaters. These are the carnivores on the left. I read that wrong. Obviously. On the right, though, are the sloth men. Chat, I swear I saw a sloth man on the Staten Island ferry. I saw this exact thing like 2 weeks ago. Temperate climates encourage the evolution of large creatures. Bulk retains body heat, and large leaf eaters can find enough nourishment to support their mass. By a process of convergent evolution, the sloth man is now similar to the giant ground sloth of South America from pre-human times. But two factors were needed to allow the tundra dwellers to evolve into sloth men: plentiful food and no enemies. Sustenance is still there, but now they face a newly evolving predator. Wow. The desert runner. 3 million years hence. Desert runner. That is straight up a chupacabra, or like that's yeah. It looks like that dude from Watchmen. That's a duende. Fatty deposit across his shoulders is depleted, but not yet exhausted. Bat-like ears radiate waste heat. Although similar in appearance to a hiver, the desert runner's ancestors originated in the temperate woodland. Through convergent evolution, the desert runners are beginning to adopt the shape that was designed into the plains dwellers all those millions of years before. However, the runners are carnivorous, unlike the hivers. Okay. This looks like an imp. Yeah. Also, I was gonna say, oh man, this reminds me of Sableye a little bit from Pokemon. People are gonna be like, no, but kind of did for me for a minute. Ant-Men. Oh no. Why is its ass so huge? Ant-Man. Ants. Some diets are so specialized that the entire body form evolves to accommodate them. The slow-moving and solitary ant-man has claws for tearing open ant hills, a long middle finger for reaching into the tunnels, and a startling coloration to warn enemies that its flesh is not good to eat. Extreme adaptation has lost Formifossor and Gustus, the sharp teeth and nails of his woodland-dwelling ancestors. Instead, the ant-man's defense is his vivid coloration and specialized diet. I like how it's just monkey. I hate his disgusting fingers. Ugh. Why the ass? I don't know. I don't know. Are you doing all tomorrows as well? I am not, but that could be a future segment. This is assuming humans lose their intellectual and creative faculties and just evolve back into beasts. I think there's more to it than that, but this is like... Some humans, I think, evolve in like a branch to a different kind of species. So, I think that's what's going on, basically, yeah. All Tomorrows is this, but more refined and even freakier. You'll have to censor stuff for All Tomorrows. All Tomorrows is overrated. Someone just said, Jimmy Smoot really was peak. He was. Host Parasite. What about this for peak? Holy shit. Chat, never mind him. What is that? Oh boy, alright, 2 million years hence, host Parasite. The islanders have evolved parasitic feeding habits that rely on tundra dwellers' metabolic need to produce surplus fat. In this way, the obese tundra dwellers have found an ecological niche that allows them to exist now that the tundra plains have disappeared and the mountain tribes failed. Gone is the tundra dwellers' thick fur and winter coloring. The need to lose heat means that Pinarius pinguis requires direct air-to-skin contact. My god. Yeah, the ones that are latching onto these giant things are the ones on the bottom right. Oh, they are awful. Someone said he looks like Don Rickles. You know what? In one... Yes, the right one kind of does. The left one looks like Butthead. Chat, that's Butthead. Dumbass. Hivers hive. This is the future, Chad. This is where we'll be living in the future. 2 million years hence. The hive itself is a massive rock-like structure with breathing chimneys and thick vented walls similar to those of giant termites' nests. Flat sloping roofs jut out to provide shade in the heat of the day. Tunnels and shafts beneath the hive reach down into the water table, where food is kept cool by constant evaporation from the moist walls. Dune? Damp air from the lower levels is driven through the hive by wind movement across external vents. The queen is protected and provided for in caverns deep below the hive. Food is gathered for her by the young hivers. Warriors guard the ancient hive in her person. Nurses feed her young. Again, just, I know I say this a bunch, just making shit up. However, I can almost picture the God Emperor himself, Leto II, hanging out. Why not look at them in order, even if you aren't reading the whole thing? It's a lot more interesting to see the progression. I understand they're not labeled as such. They're sadly in alphabetical order. But here they are, the hivers. They have mustaches. The child! So I just said Ringo. Oh man, it's Bobby Hill. It's fucking... God damn it, Bobby. Sorry, God damn it, Blobby. Oh man. They're amazing, aren't they? They're beautiful. Harsh and arid habitat has forced the socials to evolve into hivers, all individuality curtailed by the group's need to locate water and food. A hump of fat across the shoulders still provides sustenance in the barren season, while heavy lids now protect the eyes against sand. Longer legs allow the hivers to travel great distances. I'm so happy they're not showing penis. Aquatics. This is 1 million years hence. So that's it. It's gonna only be a million years before we turn into this, chat. Gormless creatures. Cthulhu would be proud. As the aquatics spend more time on land, their tough protective bubbles refine and become more efficient. Eventually the gel becomes form-fitting, holding the thinnest layer of life-giving seawater against the aquatic's body. This covering is enough to keep the skin moist, to absorb oxygen from the air, which is then absorbed through the gills. Steady increase in population among the aquatics has led to food shortages and famine. With the sea stripped bare, the aquatics face a hostile environment. I feel so bad for these fucking things. Look at them. They're being, like, slaughtered for their meat bubbles. I mean, even the music is reflecting how sad this is. Look at their sad faces. Chat. They've evolved in the worst possible way. Hunter symbiote. 1 million years hence. Communication between hunter and carrier has been simplified to a telepathic link. The huge, slow-moving tundra dwellers controlled directly by the weaker but agile-minded hunters. Fights, when they happen, are usually ritual. Death is unexpected. Oh, man. Again, you can kind of almost make out familiar faces. It's just, what a thing this is. If there are multiple universes, if there's like infinite universes, this is happening right now, somewhere. I think that's beautiful. Boat people. 500,000 years hence. The inherited skills that began with the making of fire threw up the memory of boat building. With the forbidden memory came an instinctive drive to use it. Descendants of the memory people, the boat builders can now travel freely to colonize habitats of their own, not their own. Sharp teeth and hooked claws are their natural weapons. With the discovery of metal comes the blade. And then, of course, another blob. The aquatics have devised a method of returning briefly to the land, carrying their own saltwater environment within a tough sphere of gel. Faced with enemies, they are slow and vulnerable. That's, wow. Yeah. We are Devo. D-E-V-O. So I agree that reading this out of order sucks a little bit, but at the same time, it's weirdly intriguing me. And it's actually kind of making me want to understand all this fucking nonsense. And, like, what story is being told here. We're honestly, like... Chat, you know what's happening here? We're mostly going in reverse. Which I think is kind of interesting, actually. So it's labeled in a weird way, but it's also... It's dated. That's why. Okay, I see. So we started with Smoot, and we're going back to Smoot. These are the socials, 500,000 years hence. Strictly regulated and disciplined, social living produces a stable and efficient society, essential for surviving in the more inhospitable places on the Earth's surface. However, genetic aberration occasionally produces individuals whose responses are not standard. These introduce an element of chaos into the tightly structured existence of such communities. Within the society, responses to danger are consistent and predictable, as are the responses to any other stimuli. Functions are hierarchical and rigidly defined. Yeah, about that. Why? The hand blades, originally developed to cut down thick grasses, have evolved as weapons, making the something a dangerous foe when socials fight, just to defend territory. Yeah, I like how humans in this book just evolve into goblins. This one's particularly sad. This dude looks like an Ocarina of Time character, like an NPC. Yeah, they're all like Oblivion created characters. Here's Aquatic's chap, but these are 50,000 years hence. So this is what they look like before all that other crap. As millennia pass, the Aquatics become even more perfectly adapted to their seagoing existence. They become less bulky and more streamlined, with more efficient paddles and swimming organs. They begin to resemble the extinct seals and, like them, subsist on a diet of fish. However, they do not need to breathe at the surface of the water. Their gills can extract all the oxygen they need from the sea. With the retreat of the pack ice, aquatics move into the unknown waters. This is essential if they're to survive a steady increase in population. The shit just, it looks like modern cryptid art. Like, I've done a segment like this last year. Sort of panicular. A little panicular, but again, if H.R. Giger is being referenced here a bit inspirationally, then that's kind of to be expected. So here's the famous image. Let's get some context. This is 2,000 years hence. Tundra dweller. Oh, we did this one. Yeah, we did this one. So this is where we started. Sorry. Yeah. The meme photo. This is the tick. 1,000 years hence. Medical technology has developed soft forms of backups that keep alive the weakening human form. Replacement organs, grown synthetically, are grafted onto the body. Eyes, ears, mouth, and nose still function. The fingers work only as organs of touch. Lifting or handling is left to arms grown artificially. Fashion plays a part in such surgery. They're very fashionable. I mean, this is all smoot, that advanced smoot DNA, baby. Very fashionable. Godric the Grafted. Yeah, they look like Elden Ring bosses. What's this? What's that? Uh-oh. Temperate woodland dweller. So there's like a little story happening here too, I see. On the left, but I'm not going to worry about that. 500 years hence. Human-based creature engineered to survive and flourish in a temperate forest without the backup of civilization would need to be omnivorous. Forests are less abundant than jungle. To reach the full range of foodstuffs available, Homo virgulatus fabric something has to be extremely nimble and be able to live both at ground level, in the undergrowth, and high in the treetops. Arms and legs are of similar length. Long but agile climbing fingers increase its range. A covering of fine hair keeps the woodland dweller warm in the temperate conditions. Monkey. Here's the forest dweller. Plenty to eat in tropical habitats. Climate is stable. Seasons do not regulate the food supply. Like earlier animals that lived there, human being engineered to live in the abundant rainforest need only the ability to climb to feed itself. Cunning and intelligence are not necessary, though an instinct for survival is. Chat, I swear to God, I've known people that looked like that. I mean, to be fair, it does look a little bit like something from Chrono Cross. Eugene Levy. Someone says they see Kramer. Sean Penn. Looks like Mel Blanc from Spaceballs is Yoda. Mel Brooks. Human engineered to live in open grasslands needs the adaptations of grass-eating mammal. For the plains dweller, these include massive teeth that are replaced if they wear out, chewing through silica-rich grasses, and more importantly, specialized stomach within the bloated abdomen, containing engineered bacteria that can break down cellulose, substance not normally digestible by human frame. Cutting edges on their hands help to scythe the thick grass, while the long legs enable the creature to move more swiftly over the open landscape. Fuck, man. Oh my God. What do you mean this? Is that a human crane? Monorail thing? High tech. When biological organs consistently fail, substitutes must be developed. The more vital the failed organs that cease to work, the higher the technical backup needed. Scientists are already working to produce tissue-based replacements. As long as the brain is functional, it is worth keeping it alive, even if the body has deteriorated. Congratulations, you're now a car. Fucking hell, what a nightmare. And then there's this. Here's the, is he wearing pants? 200 years hence, the aquamorph. This is the first, the first aquamorph. Fish-like and frog-like, the aquamorph is genetically adapted to live within a totally marine environment. Each physical feature, the streamlined body with the smooth skin, the insulating blubber layer, the gills on the chest, the paddles on the legs, was grown by the embryo. This embryo was the result of manipulation of the sperm and egg cell. The chromosomal makeup was adjusted, creating genes that would produce features such as skin with low drag factor. The whole organism was allowed to grow to its designated form. Like, at what point do you just say, it's time to pull the plug? So yeah, there's 128 pages. I'll just show you a little bit, like, of the book itself. I actually would recommend checking this book out in full. This is the best of, but chat, this thing is fucking wild. Like, and also there's a lot of reading. Like, the stuff we saw was good for the stream, just because it was something I could kind of read very quickly. But you can see here, there's a lot of context. You know, you got shit like that. There's smoot again. Whatever's going on here, I mean, I like this guy. But yeah, without going through the whole thing again. There's also, look, it's like there's story here. Cutting through the searing grief in an even more troubling thought. The clan, his clan, is now in charge of a symbiont that consists of a powerful, violent carrier that cannot be controlled by its hunter. The hunter, as well as being weak, does not have the mental versatility to lead a clan. That much was evident during the fight. It's not just his own death and that of Oyo he mourns, but the death of his entire clan and family. So, you're getting a whole fictional story alongside all this nonsense. That's a good one. And just so you know, the last one is this one still. Like, they really had to stretch to figure out, like, how to get from smoot to smoot. So there it is, chat. That's how you do it. Imagine a movie based on this. It would be phenomenal. It would be cinema. This book was created by an evolutionary biologist as speculative fiction. Oh, yeah, no. I'm aware of the concept of the book, and I also am aware of the person who made this is obviously, I would say, pretty fucking smart, clearly. Someone just said ill. But it is absolutely bizarre, and some of this art is phenomenal. So thank you for submitting the segment. And thanks for watching it, chat. That's one of them educational segments, I think. I don't know what we learned, but there's something. Someone said, I have learned nothing. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, me neither.